Becca, my life is great. I've reached a point where everything is wonderful. I've healed those emotional wounds, and I still can't stop drinking. What the hell is going on? Welcome to Sobriety Snippets for Women Over 40, where we elevate that mindset to trade hangovers for higher consciousness. I'm Becca Jacobson. Welcome to Snippet Land. Today we're going to talk about those of you who totally have a great life, and yet there it is. There's the alcohol, still haunting, still there, still unresolved. Gals, this is very real and actually in some ways more frustrating than those of you who know you have an emotional journey to go on. Although, let's be careful. I don't think I would exclude the first category of woman from an emotional journey. Let's untangle this knot. Let's untangle it. So I've heard from more than one woman, one recently, but several women in the past year or more, this story. This is the story, right? The story of, I have a great life. I really can't think of any reason why I would be drinking. I'm not trying to drink anything away. I'm not drinking at anything. I'm not trying to cover anything up. Honestly, look at my life. It's great. Why do I keep drinking? And that is very frustrating. We know that it's unhealthy. It's affecting the body, especially as we get older. And we're like, I just don't need this in my life. It's not serving any purpose. And yet there it is. Well, at this stage of the game, gals, I think it's fair to say that we're looking at old habit patterns that we have to retrain. We know, because we live in such an amazing era, that our brain is plastic. Neuroplasticity tells us that we can retrain the little grooves in the brain, and our brain will just follow the path of least resistance. And if alcohol has been your habit, your routine, your go-to for any length of time, for most of us that's quite a long time, then it's just going to keep going. We can heal ourselves emotionally, but the brain is still going to go where it goes. So the journey for you isn't necessarily an emotional reframing or an emotional cleansing or emotional maturity. It is retraining the brain. It is taking the time, and this takes time to retrain the brain and feel uncomfortable long enough to build new little grooves that don't lead down the path to alcohol. How do we do this? It's not complicated, but it does take time, and it is difficult in the sense that it feels uncomfortable. In the first week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, in the beginning of this type of journey, it's uncomfortable all the time because your brain wants to go down the path of least resistance, and it always takes you back to alcohol. And there you are. You're sitting there at 5 p.m., whatever your story is, going, this is like when I drink. But in order to retrain the brain, we have to have a whole new routine set. We have to have an identity that is different from the one that we are currently experiencing. I would argue that this is mainly identity work and taking the time to understand the new identity you're creating and then build those new neural pathways. This takes consistency and persistence and patience and deep, deep compassion for yourself, because the brain, it's going to feel uncomfortable. It feels like you're trying to wear clothes that you outgrew a long, long time ago, and they just don't fit. And so day after day, it's like, oh, no, I want to go in this direction, but I don't. And we're going to forget and we're going to cave. Most of us just simply cave at this stage of the game. That is why, comes right back to it, gals, again and again, we need support. We need someone else there saying, hold on, let's move forward. Let's talk about this. What about that? Here's your plan. You had a plan. You shared a plan with me. You have a new identity. Let me remind you of that new identity. And that is why either one-on-one mentoring or group mentoring or whatever you choose is the key to pushing through and building those new neural pathways. Because if you stand alone and decide, all right, I'm going to retrain my brain, which is something I would have done. I tried to do everything alone. It's the way I'm built. It's the way most of us are built here in Snippet Land because we're independent, educated, intelligent women, and we're really not used to taking help. And that can be our biggest downfall. It was my biggest downfall. It was like, back off, I got this. And I mean, the reason I did that and the reason that many of you do it is because it's what you've had to do in the past and it's worked. It has worked for us. No one was there to pull me out of the gutter in my early 30s and help me to go from prostitute to college student to grad school to professor. I just had to pull my ass out of all of that on my own. I wasn't able to quit drinking, but I was able to somehow show up and do that work and change my life. That said to me, Becca, you can do shit, man. You're a tough cookie. Go back to last week's episode. You can do this and you don't need anyone. You can stand up and you can make it happen. And the problem was I couldn't, not with alcohol. It was like the one thing in my life that just was like a brick wall in front of me. And so to suddenly at the late stage of the game go, oh my God, I need help and I need to learn how to use that support and how to show up with the support and take the support and learn how to be vulnerable in a safe and compassionate space. All of that is learning something completely new for most of us. It certainly was for me. I didn't know what any of that meant. I was used to, as I say, fiercely independent. And at the same time, alcohol had isolated me. I don't want to talk about it with anybody. Leave me alone. Quit picking at me. I got this. I got this. I got this. Meanwhile, year after year passes and I'm still drinking. This is what the journey looks like when you're not necessarily undergoing an emotional healing path, but you're retraining those neural pathways. But I will add this, gals. And while this journey does seem different from the purely emotional healing journey, it really isn't, because we're doing both on both sides of this. Some women come to me deeply wounded, unhealed trauma from the past. We have to learn how to let go of those emotions, heal those traumatic wounds from the past. When we don't have those, the journey is really very similar. We're still building new neural pathways. We're still learning new behaviors. And I would argue that if you feel as though you've healed your past, as you come on the journey, you'll find that things will arise, that you get to just heal on the fly. You're like, wow, I didn't realize that this was bothering me. As we move into a new identity and build those new neural pathways, we recognize, oh, this isn't serving me. This part of me isn't serving me. And it could be emotional. It could be, for me, if we use my example, it was emotional, yes, but also a part of me that was just stubborn and fiercely independent. And that was going to kill me. So I find that many women who have very good lives are actually the most difficult to help. Not to help. Once they've decided to get help, they're actually there, on board. Okay, I've made a decision, I'm going for it. But it's making that initial decision that is very difficult. Because you stand there going, look at my life. It's great. People would envy this life. Would I possibly need help to quit drinking? That's why, my dears. I know it sounds scary at first, but I personally think now, because I'm standing on this side of it, it is actually a very exciting journey. It's an adventure at the last stage of life. This stage, the 40, 50, 60, 70 plus stage, where we're building the best chapter of our lives. And that doesn't mean we're moving out of a hovel and fixing all this external stuff. Many of us have very good lives. It means we're building a new identity that we didn't even know existed. And that's an adventure. That's an adventure where we get to wake up in the morning and go, I'm excited because I'm building a new me. And no matter how beautiful your life is on the outside, it can still feel very stale, very stagnant when you're just going on alcohol autopilot day in and day out. And that's what you're doing if this is your story. So we come back full circle to the same solution that I would give to all of you. Find the support that's right for you and then take it. Some people need and thrive in one-on-one mentorship situations. Others do well in a group. Others do well in a hybrid where they're having one-on-one mentorship and a group scenario. Gals, there are different solutions out there for different people. And one of the biggest things that kept me stuck was being pushed always in the same direction. Here's the solution. Here's the solution. And there was no alternative. So what I always say here in Snippet Land is take the time to find out what will work for you. And by that, I simply mean what touches your heart. When someone says to you, how would you feel with one-on-one mentorship? Does that feel like, yeah, you know what, I could do that. That sounds great. I would love someone to talk to. Or you might say, no, I don't want to do that. I'd rather be with a group and hear what other women are going through at this stage. Find out what touches your heart, what lands for you, what feels right for you, and then make a decision and do it. Because there's a trap here that I want you to be very aware of. And the trap is spending weeks, months, even years on the search path. Well, I'm trying to find the right path for me, my dears. You're in Snippet Land, and I can tell you that here in Snippet Land, we've built a path for all of those, a beautiful pathway for all of those. I meet with a handful of women and one-on-one in a mentorship relationship that is so beautiful, and I meet with women who do both. There is so much joy and growth going on here in Snippet Land that I'm actually kind of overwhelmed a lot of the time with how much beautiful growth and sincerity, vulnerability, and willingness I encounter from the gals who come a little bit deeper into Snippet Land and say, man, I want to make this the best chapter of my life. It is so beautiful. And I send back to you every moment tons and tons of love and admiration for the women who are doing that. And you, my dear, are welcome to join us. If you're not sure what path is right for you, I would love to help you figure that out. I put a link in the show notes here to my calendar. I'm opening up some spaces for a few conversations. Come and have a chat with me, no pressure, and together we can figure out what would touch your heart, what feels right for you, and get you out of the alcohol groove and start building new pathways that lead to the best chapter of your life. Thanks for popping in. Be sure to come back next time so I can keep your head on straight. Sending you buckets of love.